Let's welcome Joe Cotela back to the Talk Toomey podcast. A new single out, Rockstar, ripping song. Like when you reached out, I was like, I wasn't lying when I was like, dude, new song's killer.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it very much, man. No, it's just something, man. We've just been, we were kind of away for a couple of years figuring out behind the scenes stuff, and we were just writing the whole time, and that was actually one of the. And as we just signed with UNFD. We're going to do our new record with them, and they've been awesome so far. But so that's the first song we've put out now in 3 years. But that was one of the last ones we wrote too, and yeah, the guys just sent me that music for it, and it was just. I was so pumped on it, just swaggy and dope. And I kind of had that tagline in my mind for a while, maybe even a year or two, that no rockstar bullshit, just kind of like in part of my ethos, part of something that I wanted to kind of say. And it was just, yeah, the song came together like really easy. And, a lot of times like a good song will just like pour out real quick like that. You know what I mean? And that one just happened to go real quick. And yeah, I'm stoked that you dig it. I'm stoked that we've gotten such a great reaction from it. Just so killer to honestly just be back and putting music out and kind of, living that purpose, sharing music, sharing ideas, being active in the scene,
Yeah. And the one thing I noticed too, I was kind of watching the video, and then I like to go check and see what the comment section has to say. And everybody seems to be like really excited that you kind of went back to the original Dead sound. It's like, everybody was like, dude, this is like classic Dead. I'm all in. Everybody
Right.
seemed really stoked on it.
Yeah. And that was really awesome to hear too. Not that we were shooting to do that or to have that reaction, but I think us just organically kind of over those couple of years, really just being like, man, I just want to make some sick music that makes us happy. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did when we first started on our first record. We just wanted to make sick music that made us happy. We didn't have any thoughts about what it was going to do. And then, so you kind of, when you get to take a step back, and it's almost like we get to do our first record over in a way. And I think just reaching back into your soul and reaching back into your roots and your influences and stuff. And I think that's just what comes out of us organically. So it really was so nice to have people like recognize that, I guess. And like for us to just kind of naturally do that, like, so that's just the sound. And I think it's so funny too, like to say it's like classic Dead, but because we only have two records, but it's classic as far as like the first, the first things we put out. So, I mean, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's, the contacts are back. Like I saw that a few comments, like people stoked that the contacts were back. And it's funny, man, how quickly things do become the classic Dead sound, So listeners know that, you're married to Maria from In This Moment, and you've been out with them kind of doing video work and doing some stuff like that with them, and kind of maybe not stepping back from being the vocalist of Dead, but being out there, being supportive of your wife, and then doing things with them. Did it reinvigorate you to kind of step back for a second and watch like a production going on and seeing how, things go, and then like, okay, now getting back to focused on Dead, you can kind of take what you've learned, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. We're not technically married yet, but we will be, but it has been,
Sorry.
It has been amazing to step back and just not be in the spotlight, I guess, in a way. It was interesting. It was a totally different thing because I've always been the person in the band. I've always been the person getting filmed or whatever the case is. I've been the subject. So now to be on the other side of it was so interesting. I feel like I've learned a lot too in that sense. And it was still great. Like I still felt like I still feel like I'm being creative. I still like I'm still being an artist and all that kind of stuff. Without being on stage necessarily, I'm just bringing their vision to life. And it's really cool in that sense. And, like I think everything you do adds to who you are as a person and adds to your experience. And so I don't know exactly what those things are, how that contributes necessarily right back into like our music or Dead's anything like that. But, you're always out there learning, you're seeing things, you're meeting people, you're just kind of living in the culture of heavy music. And I just love that. You know what I mean? So like, however it is, I'm having a lot of fun, and it's great. And then her and I can be together and even when she's on the tours or whatever it is. And, I still get to be creative, and I didn't want to just like go out and just like kick it just be like, what's up? I'm here. Everybody, I'm not doing anything, you know, so I really do like to be creative and have purpose. So I think purpose is good for the soul. It's good for you as a person, you know, for everybody.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than just being in the way, like in backstage or something, you know, just like I was joking with the wife the other day because, you know, we'll get backstage passes and unless I really need to go back for something, I really try not to go and just be in the way. You know, I always feel like if you go back in the back and you're like always standing in front of a road case that needs to go by, or, you know, I'm just like, you know, if they want to, if they text me and say, hey, let's hang out, let's hang out. But most of the time I'm just like, I'll just go see the show and go home.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, you get in that environment and you're just like, you know, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting.
Just don't want to be an extra person in the way of everybody. But
exactly, yeah. You know, and I'm like that too. Even, you know, when we're on tour or if I'm just at a show, like you're just so used to it because you're used to being at shows.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm definitely not above just being like, yo, that dude needs a hand. I'm gonna go pick up that road case and help him with it, or that girl needs this or whatever. You know, I'm just there. I'm just big on that, just being a part of the community. Like I don't want to, you know, I try to keep everything real chill, just like the song, you know, no rockstar bullshit. I just try to keep chill. I just want to be a person. I want to be contributing to art, you know, to the heavy scene, whatever that is.
Nice. But you just got off tour, man. Butcher Babies, Dropout Kings, Fox Lake. Tell me about it, man.
Yeah, dude, it was sick. It was like the first one back for us again in some years. So it just felt good, you know, just having that. I kept saying it too. Just I had this gratitude for it because we didn't know if we were gonna, you know, coming out of COVID, we ended up doing some tours, but we were also having those problems behind the scenes and stuff with a few things. And so, you know, I just didn't know if we were going to really do it again. Like I really thought maybe not, you know, and, you know, as an artist, you'd always just, you know, doubt and this and that, or whatever it is, you're going through that inner turmoil. So to really be back and doing it, I was just full of gratitude every night to be out with my buds, and all the bands were just so awesome. The coolest people. We shared a bus with Butcher Babies. We had a great time with them.
Nice.
All great people. And so we just had an awesome time. Just a great kind of, we're looking at it just kind of like reactivating and kind of just like, you know, almost not necessarily starting over, because we do have that foundation of everything we've done so far, but we're looking at it like that. Like, let's just rebuild and reactivate and just show people, you know, who we are, what we're about. And, you know, no expectation, you know, no, like, you know, no tough guy, you know, like, oh, you know, we deserve this. And we don't feel like we deserve anything. You know what I mean? Like, let's just get out there and do the work, you know?
Don't you know who I am? You know?
Right. Yeah. None of that, which is so silly for, you know, yeah, none of that. You know, just trying to just get back into it and be grateful for all of it.
I guess it would be one of the first tours with Heidi kind of taking over soul, you know, front woman. How did she fare out there, just kind of doing it all on her own?
Dude, she killed it, dude. I you know, I've seen Butcher Babies over the years too. We've played shows with them and we've played a lot of festivals with them and stuff. And you know, and Carla's sick too. She does her thing.
Carla's great. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do feel like, Heidi really just got up there and owned it. Like just as good as anybody else. Just killed it, better than anybody else. Actually, like killed it. Her range is crazy. Her energy's crazy. Yeah, I didn't, you know, like I said, I don't want to be like whatever with it. You know, I felt like she handled it just fine though by herself. And so I'm glad if Carla's happy and Butcher Babies are happy, then that's all good, man. I'm stoked on it. So yeah, I felt like they didn't even miss a step, and they're just ripping, just totally just nailing it live.
Do you and Henry from Butcher Babies ever have conversations about, I think he might be the only person that's kind of in the same boat with you, like kind of dating the lead singer of a band that people enjoy?
Sure. No, we didn't. I mean, Henry's just chill, man. We're real similar, just super mellow. I don't think we haven't had any like conversations about like, you know, about that aspect of things. I think it's just totally normal to us, frankly. You know, for them, it's a little bit easier because they're in the same band. So it's like a little bit easier. For us, Maria and I have to just figure out scheduling a little bit more. But yeah, there's no like, you know, there's no issues. We're both like comfortable with, you know, with our scenarios and you know, it's, you know, to us, it's maybe from the outside, maybe it is like you could imagine there might be some difficulties with things, but it's pretty normal. I know for me personally, you know, there's trust and love, just like in a regular relationship. You know, there's nothing weird about it. And I know we're all just normal people. We just play music. We're artists. That's all it is. But we're all normal people. And so it's, that. So,
Oh yeah. Obviously.
So it's
I know there's like a support group between you two, like
yeah, yeah, you didn't know. No, it's nothing like that. And Heidi and Maria are both just incredible people. They're both very down to earth and just lovely, sensible, fantastic people. So it makes it easy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You got a Shiprocked coming up too. Is this the first? Have you guys done a cruise before?
We've done Shiprocked twice.
Okay.
Man. Nice. Yeah. So this is our return to that, which is going to be super fun. That community's so. Have you done Shiprocked?
I haven't. No. My wife gets like seasick and stuff, so I don't know if I'll ever do one unless I do it solo.
Okay. All right. Well, you could go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Even if you do the stowaway thing, you go and just rip a couple covers with whoever, and that sounds like a lot of fun too. But yeah, we're stoked. The community around Shiprocked is so sick. Like you'll just run into Shiprocked people all over when you're touring, not on Shiprocked.
Mm-hmm.
They're everywhere, and they have such a tight knit community, and they're so supportive. And to get back on there is going to be sick. We always have a great time on there, great reception, and it's just fun to be. You meet. I think you really do get to meet a lot of the bands on it, which you don't necessarily get to do the same way on a tour, even or on a festival. Right. Because everybody's doing their thing, but on there you're just kind of all in one little place, and so you kind of get to really bro down with people a lot, and that's one of my favorite parts of it is kind of getting to hang with the artists, and then of course with the people, the fans, supporters. Yeah, it's a good time for sure.
Yeah, always just fun seeing Joe from Ded hanging out by the pool, things like that.
Sure, yeah, whatever it ends up being. You're like, yeah, exactly, dude. Everybody gets off and goes to the beach and stuff. I'm definitely a little more mellow. The first one we went crazy. We were up, like going to sleep when everybody was waking up. Like I think, us and some of the Seven Dust Cats, we were up all. I remember walking around on the deck and stuff, and it was us and a few of those. I remember just you just run into people because it's just dark and everybody, whatever. And then, we'd be going to bed. People would be getting up, eating breakfast, so I'm not doing that anymore, man. Like that. I'm definitely going to be more chill, just enjoy it, focus on this show and, have a good time. So.
Yeah. But actually what you reached out to me for was I wrote the article for Metal Injection, and it's funny. I had gone to see, I'll give you the backstory in the article. I had gone to see Louder Than Life, and Korn was the last band of the weekend. Like they headlined the Sunday. I had gotten all up in my feels, I as they were going on, I was watching them, and then I started typing out all this gibberish in my phone. And the next day I was just like, what does any of this mean? Like, what was I doing? And then I get a text from my guy at Metal Injection. He's like, so you still want to write that article? And I was like, I looked at what I had sent him, and I was like, oh, that's what that was about. So I sat down and kind of wrote a love letter to the debut Korn album, kind of based off of seeing them and knowing that the 30th anniversary is coming up. And I'd also done a recent podcast. I'd guested on a podcast about like albums that changed my life or something.
Sure.
And I think the main thing with the debut Korn record for me was when I got into Kiss at a really young age, but they were already a band for 15 years. And I got into Metallica when the Black Album came out. They'd already been a band for 10 years or whatever.
Right.
But when Korn came out, like they were brand new, like this is my band. And I think that was like the first time where I was like on the ground floor with any band was the debut Korn album. And that like really just changed everything, changed the style of music I was playing, changed the way I looked, changed my clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like everything was influenced from then on kind of by those first few Korn albums.
Yeah. No, I mean, and reading your article, whatever you call it, it brought me back too. Not that it's lost on me or it been lost on me. Actually, I kind of hark back to things like that, but just reading it and just seeing how profoundly it affected you and stuff like that. I mean, I'm just in the same boat. I remember the moment that I saw 10 seconds of the Blind video. It was on this show, or this TV station called The Box, which is like this. I still have no idea where it came from or what it is, but it's like a thing where like it was on like not cable. It was on like some little crappy TV with no cable on it, And but then like people would like call in and like would like play. They would request things. You'd pay like $3 and they'd play your video. So I was just watching all through the static. I turned it on and it was just that end part where they're chilling in the room. Boom, doom, 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 doom. Just that, you know, that little, just that outro, which almost sounds like a Cypress Hill song. Just that music, if you think about it, it's very like Cypress Hill sounding, which I loved at the time. Loved Cypress Hill, and I was very young too. I was into music really early, but I remember seeing and the way they looked. They just looked so sick. I was like, and so I sat there and just watched that channel for like 3 hours until it came back on again, dude. And then I was just blown away by it. And dude, and then from then on, like, had to get the shirt, you know, had to get the record, all that stuff, like, and then just got obsessed with it. And like you're saying, it changed my whole life. Like, and then seeing like their Who the Now behind the scenes thing, dude, we'd watch that. Like, I know almost every word to that. And then just kind of seeing how tight knit they were, and like they were real friends, they were brothers, and they you know, they'd like, you know, throw beer on each other, like whatever they were doing, and just they were having so much fun, but then they were being so authentic and so supportive to each other. And I think that really had a big impact on me in a lot of ways, more so than just, I don't know. And it's the same thing with you. Loved like finding the Metallica Black album, but you know, we're young, and
right.
You know, I found them on the Black album from me personally, like, you know, but then, you know, or Motley Crue or whatever you're listening to, or like Sabbath, my dad showed me Sabbath, Pink Floyd, you know, it's like, that's cool. But when Korn came out, like you said, that was my band. And then like, you know, or the first Rage, or, you know, just kind of like the early 90s, that time, those bands, like finding those bands. Yeah, it was really, really pivotal. And man, what a cool time to like, I feel grateful to have been the age that I was or whatever, even though I wasn't old enough to really experience those early days, like really go to those shows and really take part in it. But like, it really shaped me. And then I got to kind of check it out when they got, you know, to like what I couldn't really go to a show, like to like follow the leader, I think time, but still like, you know, like just, I don't know. It was just incredible, man. And that band, that first record, just, I'll just all day, you could talk about all day, how amazing it was, you know?
Like Head is like exactly the same person he's been for, you know, 30 years or whatnot. And it's wild that I posted that article, and he, in the comments, just said, "Thanks, bro," or something like that. I'm like, whoa, like my 15-year-old self like freaked out. And then just yesterday he like shared it and, you know, wrote in his stories or whatever. I'm like, man, this is wild. This is you know, you never lose that fandom, or at least hopefully I won't ever lose that fandom, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think them being really humble and cool people and is really, I don't know, I think that's one of the reasons people are drawn to them as well. And, you know, same for us, you know, it comes full circle. We got to go out, you know, in Dead, we got to tour with them a couple times. And then they were just the coolest dudes, and they were just totally just down to earth and awesome, just how you expected them to be. And so it, like, those are the kind of people you want to win, you know, those are the kind of people, you know, that you want to support when you meet your idols, or when you meet people you look up to or respect. When they're cool, it's just like, it doubles down on it. You're like, I love them even more now. You know, it's like, it's a nice treat for sure. Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. Anytime I meet anybody that I grew up, you know, that whole like don't meet your heroes thing. Yeah. You know, like you're worried when you do, but it's awesome when you do finally meet them and they turn out to be like even cooler than you thought they would be.
Yeah, that is always like super rad when that happens. Absolutely. Yeah. Had the opportunity to meet a pretty fair amount of people. And I think if you go in there and you're cool and you you keep it chill and you let it be organic, then it goes well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As long as you don't like, what?
Don't go in and punish, then it's all right. You know?
Yeah. I definitely, when I first started hearing that term Punisher, I had to like think back to like when I was a kid, and I'm like, I probably was a Punisher a few times, like, you know, but I was just so enamored with people. Like you're like, oh my God, you're you kind of deal, and talk their heads off. And hopefully, you know, hopefully they walked away from your conversation like, Jesus Christ, the kid wouldn't shut up, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully that didn't happen. Yeah. I feel like I've had good experience with mostly everybody, and I've felt pretty good. The only person was I met Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio, and for some reason my knee wouldn't stop shaking. I was like nervous about Matt Skiba for some reason. out of all the people, and I'm a very big Alkaline Trio fan, and he's, I've seen them a lot of times too. But yeah, for some reason I was talking to him and kept it chill and everything, but my knee kept shaking. I was like, what is going on right now? Like, yeah, I guess I was nervous with him for some reason, but he was a great dude though anyway. But
what else is up with the band? What's the label you guys signed with? UNFD, is that short for anything? Is it missing vowels, like, or is it just UNFD?
It stands for, I hope they don't kill me. It stands for something. It's like United, unified. That's what it stands for. Unified.
Okay.
They're sick. They're a sick. I don't know. I wouldn't call them newer. They've been around for a little bit now. They originated in Australia. Now they're in LA and Europe and Australia now. But they put out like a lot of sick stuff, like Straight from the Path records, North Lane, Era, like a lot of kind of like newer, kind of like heavy, all heavy leaning type of stuff. And they're a label that we were kind of like, we were all fans of a lot of their bands. They've done like releases in Australia for like Beartooth as well, and Architects and stuff. So
nice.
They're just very kind of integrated in a lot of heavy music. And then I think they have other branches where it's like more alternative stuff. Like a lot of like the popular kind of like whatever that would be, Vance Joy, I think, and that kind of stuff. So it's a real cool, like, I don't know, they're real cool. They're real into like just music, and like they when we went and talked to them, they knew about Dead, they knew about our records, they knew about us, and they were like real fans of music. They're like real fans of music. Went and hung out with them when we were in LA, and they were just like, we just talked music for like hours with them, and that's really cool. You don't always find that when you're in a scenario with like, the suits or whatever you'd call it, with the labels, and these people are real ingrained in music and really care about it. And it's really cool to be working with them, and they're very much just like empowering artistry. So like, just like letting us just kind of do our thing, and they believe in what we're going to do. And it feels really good. It feels really organic, and I'm stoked. I'm really stoked for it.
Yeah, man. I mean, you guys kind of popped up at the very like almost beginning of like this new metal revolution that's kind of taken over in the last few years. Right. I mean, you guys were one of the first to kind of come back around with like, no, we like new metal, and we're gonna wear our influences on our sleeves, and work with Fred Durst and Jonathan Davis and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's definitely the case. And there were other bands around at the same time. I mean, I remember us kind of doing it. And again, we were just, like I was saying before, we were just doing it for fun, but we're just doing it, just to do it. But I remember like Cane Hill came out right around the same time as us. And then us kind of like, we did a show with them at like the Basement in the Nile. And then like, there's been other bands like Islander had kind of touched on that a little bit. And oh man, I don't want to like leave people out, like, but there were other bands at that time kind of dipping into it, and so yeah, we did it as well, and it was awesome that if we were part of that resurgence or whatever it was. I don't know if there's like this like universal conscious mind that a bunch of people kind of start doing the same thing at the same time, or what happens with it, or maybe it was just time for whatever, but. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool to integrate it, because new metal wasn't like a bad word for a bad term for like a while, especially kind of during, I don't know, the mid like 2005 to 2015. It seemed like so for those 10 years, I don't know, something like that. Maybe a little bit after 2005, and it just seemed like it wasn't like whatever, like new metal, this and that, and but there's so much great music in it, and now I guess it's cool again, and now every headline I see is just new metal this, new metal that, which is great, like I think it's cool, but yeah, man, I don't know, I was never like one of those like, oh, I'll turn my back on something. Like if that was an influence to me, that was a part of my life, like it'll just be, I'll wear that on my sleeve. That was part of my experience on Earth in this world, so like I would never be like, oh, like emo's not cool anymore. Well, you know what? I was there for it, man. And I had a great time going to the emo shows too. I went to the shows. I went to the emo shows. I went to the hardcore shows. I went to the new metal shows. You know what I mean? Like whenever there was interesting, good art, music, a culture being made around something, I was there. And that's part of my journey. It's a part of what makes me make what I make. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I think it's so cool that people are reaching back into the new metal pile, and it's really cool, man. And if a proponent for that, that's great. If not, it was just cool. I don't know, I'm just stoked to just be making music, being here alive, being on Earth, man. Honestly, it's just dope. Frankly.
Yeah. I saw someone of prominence the other day posted something about there is no new metal revival. It never died or something like that. And I just posted, tell my wallet that from about 2008. Anyway, it'll have a different story for you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing is like there always was, there always is a fan base for certain things. It's just, are the cool people into it? That's what it comes down to, just like, whatever, like punk rock's always there, but it's always there. It's always a metal. It's always there. It's been there since it was made. It's just, is it popular? Is everybody doing it? You know what I mean? That's just the difference, So, but yeah, it's always there for, if you want to find it, it's good. Like people say there's no good music now. It's like, nah, there's plenty of good music, like you just got to find it. It's there. It's chilling there waiting for you. You're just not looking, or you're not, whatever it is. Like there's always great art, great music being made at all times. You just got to find it.
Yeah. I think with new music too, it's funny how many people my age they just want like different versions of what we listened to growing up. And to me, I want like new takes on things. I want to hear what Octane's playing. I want to hear what Liquid Metal's playing. I want to hear what the next thing is. Like, I don't want another version of something that I grew up on. I want to hear the progression of music. And I like, Paleface Swiss and, all those bands too, man. I fucking love that stuff. I love Memphis May Fire. I love a lot of stuff that's kind of popping up. That's kind of popping now that like obviously doesn't sound like anything that I liked growing up. I like the journey of music rather than like getting stuck in one thing and wanting to hear different versions of one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think being around, like you're saying, you go to a lot of shows, wherever you're around, you're part of the culture, everything you play in bands and everything. So I think it's easier to know that there's new stuff coming out and stuff like that. If you're not really around it, then you get stuck. They say like between 16 and 24, like that's just your music, or whatever. Like that's what will always be your thing or whatever. But I think it's so exciting. I think there's so many good things. I see kids making like, there's like a grunge revival happening, which maybe is slowing down a little bit now. But like in the last 10 years, I saw so many bands reaching into that grunge vibe, which is so sick to me. Like I love that because that was gone for a long time. And then, there's this whole like hardcore resurgence right now too. And you got like Turnstile, like coming out, like really, I don't know. I feel like if the world would let them, they could be the next Nirvana, frankly, like I just absolutely love them so much. And I think that they're just pushing the boundaries, so far. And then band like Higher Power, like you hear both of them, there's almost like some Jane's Addiction vibes in it, but it's completely fresh. And then it's like mixed with like hardcore and punk and whatever else. And I don't know, there's so many good bands doing a lot of cool stuff. And I'm always just online trying to find I'm just like trying to always find something new, something fresh, I have a playlist full of it. Anything I like, throw it in this playlist, and it's like thousands of songs in there. And I wish I could look through it and read off all of the names I like, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. It's crazy to me. Like a band like Knocked Loose is, I just saw them open for Slipknot and I'm like, how is this going to go over
right
in an amphitheater? And it crushed. I was like, everybody was into it. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like how has this happened? Like this band should be playing 200 cap rooms for life, but they've somehow tapped into the zeitgeist and now are super popular. It's crazy how that worked out.
Yeah, and I don't know why it's happening necessarily. I do think a lot of it might be just the culture is on TikTok and on Instagram. A lot. It's always like I just go scroll through. I see like 300 mosh pits every time I go on a thing, and like I think like people are being exposed to that underground scene, and I think that it was before there was no way to see that unless you like ordered it from the record label, you ordered the DVD or whatever it was or whatever it is. But now you can just come across it because it's maybe the algorithm throws it at you because it's crazy, whatever it is. And so like I think a lot of people are being exposed to that. And then it's just I think it's just a cultural thing too. Like things just change over time, like Like new metal was big for a while. Like punk was big in the early 90s. There was a big hardcore thing in the 90s too. And then so like now it's just, maybe every 20 years now it's big again, or whatever. I don't know, you like you said, you don't know how it happens. It's just like whatever the kids do, whatever like the world decides on. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's funny looking back onto like my early band days and how much I loved going to see Hatebreed or Earth Crisis and like a lot of the hardcore bands that those victory bands back in the day. And you're like this is awesome. I love all of this, but I was like, this isn't going to last. This can't be commercially viable kind of thing. And then of all the bands, new metal bands and whatnot that I would go to that you assume are going to be huge, Hatebreed is still out there crushing all of them. It's wild how I guess you never truly know what's going to last and what's going to strike a nerve. And obviously Jamie's got a work ethic that probably, topples most people, but
Absolutely.
yeah, it's pretty crazy that they're still out there crushing after all these years.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. And as I look too, and they were kind of like trailblazers in their own way too. Like they were like mixing metal and hardcore, like really almost like the AC/DC of hardcore or you know what I mean? Like AC/DC was too they said too rock and roll for the metal people and too metal for the rock and roll people or whatever, however that was. And I think Hatebreed kind of maybe lives in that world a little bit, and which is awesome, and as you look at the bands over the years that are the headliners that are like really like the ones, they're all really unique. Like when you look at them, they weren't safe bands. None of them were safe. Like System of a Down, Tool, whatever else, Korn. You look at like the ones that are still up there. Like they were interesting and they chose their own lane. And if you just heard it, you'd think, wow, that's awesome. But who knows if that, you'd never expect it. Just like you're saying with Hatebreed, you never expect them to become what they've become, honestly, over time. And but I think that's cool. And I think that's a testament to people to follow their own path and to do their own thing. And if you really want to, stand the test of time, I think having that kind of trust and love for your own personal vision, I think is really important. And those are the bands that go and they stay up at the top,
Yeah. And then you've got the bands too that like put out one or two records and then went away for years and then came back bigger than ever, like a Refuse, like aren't you wearing, is that a Glassjaw hoodie you're wearing there? Like those guys, it's just like that weird underground swell over the years of just like, the Misfits are playing arenas right now. And, when they broke up in '83, they were playing clubs, it's just crazy how time and just can have that groundswell for a lot of bands too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Glassjaw is like definitely one of those bands, like they'd be up there with like most influential, you know what I mean? For me, it's probably Korn, Nirvana, Glassjaw, Every Time I Die. Probably those four bands, like for whatever reason, are just those four are really just real deep in my heart. And it's cool to see that, like you're saying with Glassjaw or even like My Chemical Romance, even though they're huge, they went away. They got bigger when they went away. It's like it was absolutely wild, man. And I guess people want what they can't have too, and then maybe the world needs to catch up with people that are doing something that's maybe too interesting, or whatever, whatever you'd call it, that maybe the world needs to catch up a little bit and they were just too ahead of their time, which, is kind of a compliment in a way, although it sucks. Like you're, like you're saying, you're ahead of your time, like, but Refuse that record, The Shape of Punk to Come. Like they were saying, we're doing this before everybody else is going to do this. And then and they really did that. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah, such a great record. There's some vintage. I don't know if you saw the footage or not of the crowd from when we were young singing Helena, but it's from like a rooftop of a hotel, like far away from the venue.
Yeah.
And all you hear is the crowd just singing every word. And it's wild because it's from behind the stage. So you can't hear the stage at all. You just hear the crowd kind of coming at the mic. And it's amazing to see, just 30,000 people just singing along to a song together. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible. I haven't seen that, but I had friends sending me videos of them playing and stuff. And like you're saying, yeah, that unification, that many people singing a song like that though is wild. It's amazing, you know.
Plus, that's actually one band I saw as an opener that blew my mind. Like I didn't really know about them when I walked in, but because I went to see Story of the Year, because I'm friendly with those guys from like back in the '90s, and they had this little band, My Chemical Romance, opening for them, and I was just like, "What is this band?" And I love it. And that was like I think right when Three Cheers came out, and I've just been diehard since then.
Yeah, dude, that record, man, God, Three Cheers is so good. Just every single song on there, it's fantastic. Yeah, that's cool. It's really cool to see a band like that, you know, to see them like open, you get blown away by it, and then you know you're part of that, being a part of that wave with them. That's another example of like one of your bands that you found and you saw them opening, and then you bought the record, you bought their shirts, you went to their shows, you were part of that, you know, part of that wave, making them who they are. That's really cool. Glassjaw, one of those bands for me too. Like seeing them, they opened for Deftones on that White Pony tour, and they came out. They had the X's on their amps, dude, the straight edge X's, and then just came out and just hit their guitars. It felt like it was like 10 minutes of them just hitting out the guitars, just coming out swinging their stuff around, just throwing, and it was just like, this is so chaotic, it was so crazy. And then they went into their set, and that just changed my life watching them do that. It was just they were just like, it was an energy that I'd never seen in my life. It was just incredible. And then of course Deftones, kind of, you know, White Pony was just incredible as well. So
that's Deftones is definitely another band that the first time I got to see them, they opened for 311 at what is it, Memorial Gym, which is where Vanderbilt basketball plays in Nashville. And like that was the first time that they came through Nashville that I knew. I think they'd actually played Nashville one other time, but they weren't listed on the bill, like on the play. It was like one of those, like they were the last minute replacement. I don't know. It was before the internet. But yeah, we got to go see them. And it was funny. Chino came out in the crowd and he was like, "Do you know anybody know who we are?" And I'm like, you know, like me. And he goes, "What song do you want to hear?" And I just yelled "Teething" at him. Cause I think "Teething" was just like well, it was before, I think it was before The Crow. It was like this tape trading demo that they had out there that I had somehow come across.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, "We don't really know that one. Sing, you know, yell another song or something." And, you know, but it was, there's been a few times, man, where you see the opener and it kind of becomes like a badge of honor later on. Like, dude, I saw that band as the opening band. Like the one we always talk about on the show is seeing Slipknot open for Cold Chamber and Machine Head. Like, wow. And it was at the New Daisy Theater in Memphis. Machine Head, Cold Chamber, both backlined with all of Slipknot, you know, on just a 1,200 cap, you know, room stage, just on top of each other, fucking going crazy. It was wild, man, seeing them.
Yeah, that is sick. Yeah, man.
And I will say it was at a time too where everybody that was there to see Slipknot, because as the night went on, it was like sold out crowd, and then about half the crowd walked for the rest of the night. Like it was pretty, because I mean, you got to think that was Burning Red Machine Head, that was whatever Cold Chamber album, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody was kind of like, I don't know about this one anymore, guys.
I love that Burning Red record, but
me too, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I heard that about Slipknot too. I remember hearing them a friend's, I think it was a cassette in my friend's car. We put it in, and I remember, like, one of those things, you know, you remember the first time you heard something. That's always an interesting thing, because you don't remember that about everything. But I remember hearing them for the first time, and everybody was talking, because they were on Ozfest too, and just like blowing everybody away at Ozfest. And I mean, they came up, you know, of course their music was sick, right? But then they came up with the whole look. It was the coolest. I mean, it was gonna be huge, you know, like it's just, you know, it was just, you can't miss with what they did. It's just incredible.
Well, I mean, too, they did a really good job of kind of keeping, you know, hiding their identity for a long time too. So I've always said they were kind of our generation's Kiss. You know, you didn't know who they were. You didn't know, you know, they could have walked right past you.
Yeah. You
know, going to the bathroom, and you didn't even know who they were. And really, until that first Stone Sour single, you didn't really see Corey. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't. It took a pretty good time until you actually saw them without their masks on. You know, I don't really remember magazines or any early internet stuff or anything like that with their, real faces.
For sure. Yeah. And they still did it in that time. Now, nowadays, well, I guess people still do it nowadays to an extent, but, yeah, that was a big thing. It was kind of them still just being like mysterious and whatnot.
Right. Yeah.
And, you just didn't know, like, wow, they probably go and live in the sewer and stuff. You just based on their character or whatever it was. But yeah, so good, so good.
My favorite thing with them is the internet sleuths. Like when they get a new member, and they try to figure out who it is, and they start picking apart stuff, and they see something in the background, or they see this guy, or like when V-Man was in the first video, and they nailed him down quick because he had hand tattoos, and they're like, oh, that's the guy from whatever band he was in. But it's just funny how quickly they can just like nail down like who is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, people are smart. They got little detective hats on. They got nothing to do. they figure it out, man. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think the only one that really kind of kept this identity for a while was Ghost, but then there was one there was one random backstage photo, and Tobias or whatever just happened to be in it, and everybody figured that was the singer of Ghost from that one image that I think Tommy Victor put that out from wrong.
Yeah.
It's a wild place.
Sleep Token's doing a good job out of it though.
Yeah.
They're doing a pretty, I think some people, I think you can Google maybe who some of them are. I'm not sure, honestly. But they're doing a good job. And obviously they're incredible as well. But that just popped into my mind. Yeah, they're doing that whole mysterious thing, and it's working really well. And I think when you couple that mysterious thing with really great music, it's just over. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
Yeah, that's another thing too, man. It just goes to show you that there's no formula to breaking a band. It's like either you can be Tool and nobody's ever seen you, and you don't do interviews like Sleep Token. Like, don't worry about getting an interview with Sleep Token because they're not going to do it.
Right.
Or you can be the other side of it and be, I don't know, like just do every interview and be most public you've ever been in your whole entire life.
Yeah.
And then you break that way too. Like there's no blueprints. That's just like, it just, whatever the algorithm picks up that day, you might be famous by, lunchtime.
That too. Yeah. Well, I think whatever is organic to you, if you believe in doing something this way, yeah, there's no right or wrong way really is what it is. Right. It's like, if you're being authentic, then I think that's just always the best route. If your authenticity is like, I don't want anybody to know who I am, and I just want to make music and have the music speak for me, I think that's fantastic, and then you have to figure out a way to do that. If you want to be, like you said, up on a soapbox saying, hey, everybody, I'm this person, check it out. Look at me. That's cool too. As long as you're not, being annoying, then so it's all good. Like, I think it's really interesting. There is no right or wrong way. But I think you have to have both. You can't be just cool, a cool thing, but then your music sucks. You can't have great music and then look totally good. Well, maybe you can do that. I don't know. I think the music is usually paramount, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, man. Because you've seen it so many different ways nowadays. It's like, I don't even pretend to have the answer. I just like what I like. And if people like stuff, I'm like, cool. That's what people like, man. It's whatever,
Yeah, man. Let's kind of finish up on some Dead talk, man. You talked about the song Rockstar. They kind of sent you over the track and stuff. So I mean, how does the writing go for Dead? I mean, are you guys sending files back and forth? You guys getting in a room? How does the writing process work for you guys?
Yeah, we have a studio out in Arizona called Trash Island Studio, and the dudes are just in there a bunch, writing and recording music all the time. I'm out on the East Coast. Maria and I are out here, but we're always traveling. We're always back and forth. So I'll go out to Arizona. I'll write here. We have a studio here as well. So the guy, but it's very like all of us do it, which is really cool. Like the dudes will write songs. They'll send me music. I'll write to it. I like to like go drive around in my car and write to it, or like blast it while I'm working out and like write while I'm working out, which kind of really gives me, I think it just really goes together really well to be like lifting and then like playing heavy music and just writing and really being in the zone, like with an elevated mind. So that's how I kind of write to it or whatever. But yeah, it's really cohesive. Matt, our drummer, will write guitar riffs sometimes. everybody does everything, and I don't even, none of us care who does what. It's just like, what makes a sick song, and then it's all good.
I guess that's how it has to be these days, which is wild, going back to, I'm assuming when you grew up playing music, it's like if you didn't see the right, vocalist wanted at the Guitar Center, you might not even know there's a band one town over playing something you're into. But now the internet is just, it's wild. I mean, if Dead needed a guitar player right now, you guys would have like 100 submissions within an hour. You know what I'm saying? If you threw that out on the internet or whatnot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Yeah. It is cool. It is really cool to have that. You don't have to like sit in a room and like bring in a guitar riff and say, all right, everybody learn this. No, you're playing that wrong like this. But you know what I mean? Like nowadays it's just, everybody just kind of puts it down. Cool, that idea is great, or that idea is not great. And then you don't waste as much time trying to figure this or that out. You record it, it's done. What does it sound like? Cool, it's good, great. If it's not, throw it out. Let's do something else. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool in that way. It's super cool in that way, honestly. And then for us to be able to just send a track here, I can record it, send it back, they can mix it. Or I'll just go out there and record with them in the studio, whatever it is. I don't know. It's really cool. Like I said, I'm just like, to be alive in a time where you can do that is awesome. I just think there's so many cool things at our fingertips right now. And it's amazing.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely living in the future. Like, technology evolves slowly to an extent. Mm-hmm. But then the other day I was like driving down the road, my Apple CarPlay is plugged up. A text message comes through from a friend. My car reads it to me, then asks me if I want to reply. Yeah. And I just say what I want to reply. Then it texts it back to your friend. And it's just like that's futuristic shit, man. That's like, that's wild. It's silly that's where my mind goes in that moment. But yeah, that's the future.
Yeah. And it'll become normal too over time. But what was I saying the other day? I was like, somebody was showing me that their Tesla, like you on your car, you can actually, if someone's next to your car, you can like talk to them and say, get away from my car. And I remember like staying, like when I was little, I remember being like, that'd be so cool. You could like talk shit to people when they're next to your car. You could like tell them to get away or whatever. I thought it was so interesting that you can do that now. I don't know. There's just so many obviously variations of that.
Well, let's get into on the future of Dead. Are we looking at an album? What's the kind of the future?
Yeah. So we're getting everything mixed right now. We're doing it with Zach Jones, is doing the mixing, and some extra production stuff. He's sick, awesome dude. And we're doing a couple features with some homies that I'm really excited about. And the record, we're trying to wrap it up by the end of the year. And then, so it should be out. I would hope in the first quarter of next year. We're going to keep dropping songs. There's just music's going to keep dropping. We're going to keep touring. We're back now. So we're just going to be back into it and doing it.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, man, thanks for reaching out, and thanks for the time today, man.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. That was awesome. I'm glad to be back on and hanging. And I love hanging and talking music. So